It's interesting that in today's world, our big movies are not really movies anymore, at least not in the way we used to think of movies. We used to think of movies as these self-contained 90-minute to 2-hour flicks. If there were sequels that continued a story, fine. But generally, as a rule, we used to view a film as something that had to begin and it had to end. And that was sort of how that kind of process worked. But today's world, we've adopted the concept of the film serial in that pretty much all our huge movies have lead-in elements to the next movie. Now, I'm not saying that a good film that is part of a franchise doesn't still need to have story structure. Something like Captain America Civil War has plot points that are brought up in that movie and end in that movie. But where something like Captain America Civil War succeeds and Batman v Superman fails is that Captain America Civil War will still do a good job of having all its plot elements be brought together into that film. Anything from acting, to the way the characters behave, to the way the script works, to all of these things that still need to work for a movie. And fortunately, Rogue One, a Star Wars story, also does this. This movie is pretty goddamn awesome. I really loved this film, and it's actually a super, really it's its own thing, but it feels so much like Star Wars. I would not recommend seeing this if you've never seen the original Star Wars. That really is a big part of this movie. But it really it hits the ground running, which is what I like. By far, the coolest thing in this movie is just how well it captures the look and tone of that world while still being its own thing. The original Star Wars is a fairly lighthearted adventure movie. This is a dark, gritty war movie. There is stuff that happens in this movie where you're like, that would not happen in this film I saw when I was 6. And it's not afraid to do that, which is what I love. It wholeheartedly accepts the grisliness and the darkness of the world that's going on around you, and that full acceptance of it is what allows for the look of this movie to work. It's dirty, it's grungy, it has that feel to it, and that is oh so represented in the way this story is. Everything comes together and incorporates itself in, I thought, a really spectacular, interesting way. And then, of course, there's the thing director Gareth Edwards, who did the Godzilla movie a couple years ago, always does well. His sense of scale. I know everyone's talking to death, but I gotta bring it up. Everything, there's a scene where we see, giant AT-AT type robots. I forget if they might have been, a little bit different, but, and part of that's just because I'm just whoa. When that starts, you get how huge they are. You get how big they are. Same goes for everything else in this movie. Things like all the new stormtrooper types. You see why they're threatening. You genuinely feel that they will kill you in this movie. And that's another thing it gets right. A constant sense of dread that keeps you on your toes. The plot gets a little meticulous at points as it sort of goes from plot point to plot point. But I always felt the sense of dread, anything could happen at any point. And it really kept for a thrilling experience. And a lot of that does have to do with the acting, namely from Felicity Jones, who, oh god, I'm not gonna lie, she is a gorgeous woman. I could watch her in anything, but she really does bring it as Jyn Orso. She's basically, kind of I sort of think of her as a dark Luke in that sense. She very much wants to stop the Empire, but there's a lot of reasons to there, and there's a lot of depth to it, and I thought that was really well done. As for the rest of the characters, I thought were a little lacking. If I were to pick someone else I really liked was Donnie Yen as this blind, stick-wielding Force. He's not attached to the Force, but he views Jedi-ism, I guess, as kind of a religion, and I thought that was interesting, because in the first Star Wars, they really do describe it as it is a religion, and this is the first time I kind of really felt that, and I thought that was really neat. Ben Mendelsohn as the villain is fine, I guess. I would have liked more time with him, too. He was scary, and he was intimidating, but all in all, a part of me felt like this movie didn't need him or a real main villain. But no, he worked fine. The action is excellent. I will say, as the film gets towards the end, however, it did become a little mind-numbing. I mean, it's excellent. It looks very good and it's acted very good. But after a certain point, I did sort of start feeling kind of the length of the movie. I don't want to give spoilers, but I will say it did kind of just get to me after a while. But this is a genuinely fun, awesome, exciting movie with a real sense of dread and a real sense of seriousness that I thought was good. It is uniquely its own thing, but I will also say this. If you haven't seen another Star Wars movie, you will be lost. Like, they do a good job of putting things in the tense of what is going on here and now, but I still felt like a lot of elements in this movie really only work if you know what Star Wars is. I can't test that theory, though, because thanks to Disney putting it everywhere, we all know what Star Wars is, so I don't even know if that's really a problem at this point. And on top of that, the movie does definitely market itself as being a smaller film. It's not smaller in the sense that Fate of the Galaxy is on the line, but you do feel like this is a more close-knit, tighter movie, and I thought that was welcomed considering how big all the Star Wars movies to get this difference. Now, I know I don't want to get into spoilers, but I do want to get into this. So if you haven't seen this movie, just know it's awesome, exciting, and you're probably going to love it. I do want to quickly talk about some of the nods to other Star Wars stuff. Mainly the things I thought didn't work. Darth Vader. Could have used more of him in this movie. It's kind of weird. I feel like if you don't know what Star Wars is, you're just going to wonder who's this guy in the cape. I thought that was interesting, him having a castle and all that, especially on the planet where he lost all his limbs and stuff. But I thought maybe you could have had him in a little bit more. Like, again, Ben Mendelsohn, ultimately I felt like you could have had Darth Vader do what he did. Mads Mikkelsen as Jin's father I could have done more with. And on top of that, you have, if you haven't heard, there is a CGI recreation of Grand Admiral Tarkin, played by Peter... Why are there so many Cushing? This was not a good idea. Like, I'm sorry. You could have used that time for Ben Mendelsohn's character, or maybe more of Vader, but it just... that technology isn't there yet. Like, the thing is that they get an actor and then they CGI the rest to make it look like Peter Cushing. The problem with Peter Cushing, as opposed to doing it with, say, RDJ in Civil War, was that RDJ still looks, for his age, pretty damn young, so it's not that hard to get the face right. And also, Cushing has a very pronounced expressions. Like, he has a very serious, very almost, I don't want to insult the guy, like a skull-like face. When you try to recreate that in the CGI, because the face is already kind of scary to look at, it creates a really bad Uncanny Valley effect. And honestly, it's on screen too long. It's about there for 10 minutes, I want to say, which doesn't seem like a lot, but yeah, I just thought that the more I looked at it, the less I liked it and the more it took me out of the film. Like, at the end of the movie, they do the same thing with Princess Leia, but she's in and out, so you don't have that effect. And also, if you were talking about how it was used in Civil War, they had you hear Robert Downey Jr.'s voice first. So you clicked with it being Tony Stark already. With Cushing, they just throw him in there and then he's gone. But again, this is a really fun, really awesome, really exciting movie. Go check it out. I really loved it. And but what did you think? In the comment section below, give me your thoughts on Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Do you want more of these offshoot films? And as always, click to like and click to subscribe, and we will see where Star Wars is going.